Hello, I'm your host Jim McLean. Welcome back to another episode of More Than Pixels on a Screen, a podcast brought to you by the Bandaflix Movie Review website. As always, there will be spoilers right from the get-go, and on this episode we're going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's out in cinemas now for a couple of weeks, and we're getting a chance to chat about it. And joining me is the one and only Adam Star-Lord Neeson. Hello to you, Adam.
Good evening, Jim.
I love that voice. He's so super intense. Listeners, I'm going to let you in. This podcast is going to be rambly. It's going to be spoilery. We've already said that.
The silly boys are back.
Yeah, the silly boys. You know, remember the days of the fabulous banter boys? Now it's the fabulous silly boys. There we go. So I apologise. There will be tangents. There will be rambles. There will be giggles. Yeah, I was going to try and see if we can get you to giggle on cue. There we go. So, with that, Adam, I think we shall get stuck in. We'll start by playing a clip of the film, and then afterwards we shall share our thoughts.
I miss you so much. And maybe if you open yourself up to it, there's a possibility.
I don't think so, Quinn.
Quill.
I don't think so.
Well, what I'm trying to say is...
Peter, you know this is an open line, right?
What?
We're listening to everything you're saying.
And it is painful.
And you're just telling me now?
We were hoping it would stop on its own.
But I switched it over to private.
What color button did you push?
Blue! For the blue suit!
Oh, no.
Blue was the open line for everyone.
Orange is for blue.
What?
Black is for orange. Yellow is for green. Green is for red. And red is for yellow.
No, yellow is for yellow. Green is for red, red is for green.
I don't think so.
Try it then.
You were right.
So that's a clip of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. James Gunn is back with a concluding chapter, he said, of his Guardians trilogy, the latest installment in the MCU. What phase are we in now? Phase 4?
4, yeah.
4. Even we're confused, and we're meant to be the knowledgeable contributors on this pod.
It's hard to remember when a fantastic movie like Ant-Man Quantumania kicked it all off.
Poor old Paul Rudd. We like Paul.
Yeah. Paul's a good lad.
Yeah, Paul's a good lad. Michael Douglas we like. Michelle Pfeiffer we like. I'm sure the rest of them are all great.
Your woman from Lost.
Your woman from Lost. That wee girl that was in other things.
Freaky.
And the CGI bottom of MODOK.
Oh yeah, I forgot about his wee cheeks.
His wee cheekity cheeks is out there. So that kicked it off early this year. I believe by the time this episode is recorded, that will be available to watch on Disney Plus. So I think we should get a little bell. Tangent number 1. Adam, we didn't have you on talking about that. You've kind of, with your attitude already when you mentioned it, you've kind of, I think, set out your stall. And you're like, oh yeah, that classic, it's available. But now that it's available on Disney Plus, are you tempted to give it another viewing?
Absolutely not. I seen it twice in cinema.
Stop going to see stuff twice.
Jim, I've got problems.
This is like Joker's. Like, did I really not like that? I don't know. I'll go see it again. No, I didn't like it. I just for anyone who didn't listen to the previous pod, how many times did you go see Joker?
3 or 4.
3 or 4.
And then bought it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, so you're the reason why we have the sequel.
Yeah.
And
you know what? I'll be seeing that 4 times as well.
Yeah, of course you fucking will.
I'm a big New York fan. So, of course, I'm going to see Todd's remake of it.
Yeah, all right. So you went to see that. So everything I felt about the film, I was able to kind of construct from one viewing. Underwhelming, trying too much. I know I had James Oliver on the pod and we talked about it. He was much more enthusiastic about it than I was. I just felt like everything I loved about the first 2 Ant-Man films were lost in that, because a bit like with Iron Man, when you throw that character so front and centre, everything that you're trying to set up with the MCU, you lose the charm. So I wasn't fussed on this. This Guardians of the Galaxy film, I know we're going to be talking about it in a moment, feels very different to that. It actually doesn't really feel that much is at stake in terms of the wider MCU. It's a very much a Guardian story, front and centre. There will be ramifications, I'm sure, for what you're going to see with the next Avengers movie and how the MCU goes on. But one thing I did like right from the get-go, this is a James Gunn movie that's dealing with the Guardians, and it's about the Guardians. And importantly, it feels like a trilogy. That each film feels like a trilogy. It feels like a trilogy is what I'm trying to say. I know what. You know, it has a first film, a second film, and a third, and they haven't really tried to throw everything else in. Although they have, but they've done it quite well. But I can't remember. You know, really, we were talking about Ant-Man. I'll Paul Rudd. I'll small pod.
He's still
I'll
small.
pod. I'll small Paul. I'm talking about him. But I went really camp there. Apologies, listeners. So you weren't fussed in that.
No.
You still went to see it twice.
Yeah, I went and seen it.
Why did you go see it twice?
Well, you see, when you're in a relationship, but you also have a brain that can't, you have to see things immediately.
Yeah.
And your girlfriend's like, I'm not getting up at 9 o'clock in the morning to watch Ant-Man. She's the sane one.
Yeah.
So I get up and seen it in the delightful Odeon in the Victoria Square.
Mm-hmm. Other cinemas are available.
You know, I just enjoy the scent of piss when I'm watching a movie. And
Your piss or somebody else's?
Hey, it's a party, isn't it? And I remember sitting watching the movie being like, oh no. 'Cause
I pissed myself again.
Small people make me scared. I love the first two. I think I'm in the minority of people that enjoy the Ant-Man movies.
I like the Ant-Man movies.
Do you know what I mean? People are always like, it's such small stakes. Poster moment. But I think they're fun, and Paul Rudd carries them a lot. You know, they're not perfect, but they are, for comic book movies, they feel like comic books. You know, we tangents off onto the side where the stakes aren't that big.
Well, as I said at the time when we reviewed Quantum Mania, you know, Ant-Man 2, if I'm correct, because I had all my facts written out for that episode, I don't have them here now, it came after the first big Avengers Endgame or whatever, the
Infinity War.
Infinity War. So you think of all what had happened in that film, and then you had this nice little palate cleanser afterwards. Like, okay, so you've just had the whole MCU, brought it all together. What are you going to follow it up with? A little Ant-Man movie where they're trying to save Michelle Pfeiffer. And then this is kind of reverse. You've had the last phase where not a lot has kind of... MCU feels like it's a bit in limbo. We know where it's moving forward to with the multiverse. And it's been kind of teasing it. And then this film just goes right, boom. There you go. There's our multiverse. Our Jonathan Majors.
Who?
Yeah, we may need to recast. We need to recast that role. But they brought him, Kang the Conqueror, front and centre, and all the charm, everything I liked about the first two films, that it didn't feel like everything was, as you say, the stakes were low. It tried to throw everything in, and it just didn't work for me. Those little aspects of the film I liked. I liked the fact that Michael Douglas, the man who told us that greed is good, now loves socialism.
And that eating puss causes cancer.
Yeah. Or as James Oliver made, if I remember right, just said he thought that line was about at least Michael Douglas, or at least Michelle Pfeiffer had knees. And I was like, okay, whatever floats your boat.
Used to well the 80s, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, I know what I'm going to get. So, there we go. So you went to see that twice. So Guardians of the Galaxy told me before we started to record, this installment you've seen twice. So you went to see that as many times as you went to go see Ant-Man. So clearly Marvel are going to go, they love it just as much as Ant-Man.
The box office would say otherwise.
Yeah, okay, I know. But anyway, so that's now on Disney+. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 isn't yet. The first two installments are. And I know we had you on the TV show and you talked about your love for the series. So I suppose for anyone who doesn't watch the TV show, do you want to, at this moment, just say why you love James Gunn's films?
They're about family and, you know, broken people coming together.
Family.
And Statham's in Fast X, I just remembered. That's me in my book. And
you didn't say his name right?
Statham.
If I'm not fighting sharks, I'm trying to bring together the family.
I'm going to be fighting Tyrese.
Do you know what, though? As much as Jason Statham loves family, I don't think he loves the Meg's family.
The Griffins?
Yeah, Peter.
Peter.
Peter. I've just come up from the trench, Peter.
Jason Statham's at the door.
He's trying to kick my face. That accent gone. But yes, he doesn't like giant megalodons family.
Who does, really?
No, they're bastards.
Hello.
Cold-hearted bastards.
I'm really hoping that the Meg 2... Ding, tangent. I'm really hoping that the Meg 2 is like Jaws the Revenge, where this time it's personal.
Shite.
Michael Caine gets a house from it.
Yeah. He's no involvement in the project at all. But someone just goes, Michael Caine, here's a house in Hawaii. Why? Because we made the Meg 2. Come on down.
Ben Wheatley, who's this check to M. Caine? Don't worry about it.
He'll understand. He'll get the reference.
Thanks very much. That's a shit, Michael Caine. It's me, Michael Caine. No, but Guardians of the Galaxy is pretty good. No, I like it because, broken people coming together, and if you don't have a family, families are out there, and you can adopt.
I'm sorry, I'm such a child.
You can just adopt kids.
No, but I'm such a child when you said broken people coming together.
Like Humpty Dumpty?
I meant, I just thought in my head reaching orgasm. I'm such a bad person. Oh,
I'm
sorry.
really depressed, but you know what I love doing? Michael Douglas gets it.
Give me another podcast that goes from Michael Caine and the Meg 2 to broken people reaching orgasm. I challenge you, listeners.
Is this an NPR podcast?
I don't know.
Yeah, but Guardians, I just felt this connection with it since 2014. A lot of my... you can see now I'm wearing my Rocket t-shirt. Mm-hmm. A lot of my wardrobe is...
Well, I'm disappointed because you came onto the TV show in almost full. You had your mask, the helmet, sorry, I should say. You had the jacket. You were almost in full Star-Lord attire. And all I get today for the pod is I know it's an audio medium, but a t-shirt.
Well, I did text you and say, can I come in dressed as Drax?
Yes.
And you said, only if you've got sensitive nipples.
Yeah.
Jim, come on.
Of course I've got sensitive nipples.
I'm a broken person that loves coming together. Of course I've got sensitive nips.
So on that note of Adam and his sensitive nipples, we will make a huge tangent, ding, and go back to, well, not really a tangent, it's just trying to get back on the straightened path. We're talking about Guardians 3. So you're a huge fan of the series, so am I. I think I said this in the TV show. I know I've definitely said it before. Watching Guardians was the closest I think I came to... I know. Closest I've come in a long time. I think it was the closest I had come.
Happy anniversary, by the way. 5 years.
Amber. Adam said he was going to dress up as Drax. Oh, I'm gone. Sorry. No, right, this is not going to make the cut. Okay. So I think for me, Guardians 3, I think when I said at the time on the TV show, I don't know if it made the cut, but the first Guardians film was the closest thing for me to the first Star Wars. And people just kind of going, wow, it's space opera, it had a great soundtrack. It had characters that were relatable. You've kind of hinted at that in the sense that they're kind of broken and kind of coming from different backgrounds and coming together to form a family of sorts. And it's that idea of that Vin Diesel loves family. And yeah, I really enjoyed it and took me by surprise because I wasn't that invested in the characters. I remember at the time having Lee Forgy, formerly from this parish, we should get him back on, explaining to me about who the Guardians were. And he told me about Groot, who could only say, I am Groot. Mm-hmm. But yet, those words meant different things. We'll come back to this with Guardians 3. And I'm kind of going, this is going to sound terrible. There's a raccoon that's modified. And all this blah, blah, blah.
You're telling me you've never read The Annihilation Conquest?
No,
yeah, come on,
sorry. I'm not that much. I'm more DC than I am MCU. But took me by surprise. Loved it. And Guardians 2... I like what it did. I don't think it was as successful. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first film. Although James Gunn, coming back to this point later on in this podcast, he is someone who excels in making me cry. And when Michael Rourke's character comes to an unfortunate end in 2, spoiler, with his "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all," that got me in the feels. Genuinely, that got me in the feels. I sat in my cinema seat going, oh my God, why am I crying at this? And why can I not watch Mary Poppins now without thinking of Guardians 2? But yes, so I am a fan. I've become a fan of the series, having had no investment in the comics. Coming to the first film, and I suppose the second and the third, where we will review at some point on this pod, were you a fan of the actual comic books before you watched the movie?
Yeah, I enjoyed, like I said, the Annihilation Conquest was like this big, overarching space story that involved a lot of people, but it mainly brought together the Guardians that we know now. There's a few people missing. There's people like Bug, Quasar, who we get kinda at the end of 3, Moondragon, who's Drax's daughter.
This sounds just like you've went into a vape lounge.
There was Skeevy McBoo. And he was just mates. And then there was obviously the comics from the beginning when you had the Guardians 3000. So you had people like Martin X and Starhawk.
You're looking at me like I'm going to know the answer, and I'm just like, no. I've already said, it's like, unless Batman was in it, unless Batman was in the Guardians, I won't have read it.
Thing was in it, not from
John Carpenter
or Wednesday. Fucking the guy, what is his name now? The Banshee? No, not the Banshee. There's an Irish character that was in the Guardians. We'll just call him Seamus O'Finnicky.
There we go. Bet he liked a pint of Guinness.
He loved to fight.
Yeah.
So he did.
Do you know what? I actually think he was on a Saturday Night Live skit just before, was it the Oscars or the Golden Globes, pretending to be Colin Farrell?
Oh yeah, that was a Saturday Night Live ding. Not that it's ever went downhill, because it's been in the swamps since it began.
It all went downhill after Will Ferrell's. It was all downhill after Will Ferrell's more cowbell skit. That was it.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Has it ever been good?
Sometimes I do have the best of Will Ferrell on Saturday Night Live. And he did give us the Roxbury, the Roxbury creation.
There's something about Will Ferrell that makes me feel like he's not a very nice man.
Makes me laugh though. I like Dankerman.
I like Paul Rudd. Back to Paul Rudd. I like Paul Rudd at Anchorman when he's trying to distract Christina Applegate and he's just in his pants. That's good. That's better than
Saturday Night Live
and Quantumania, now available on Disney Plus.
That is true.
Indiana Jones and all the TV shows are coming to Disney Plus.
They are indeed, because by the time this episode will have aired, it will have got its debut at Cannes, and hopefully everyone will be positive about it and not hating the de-aged Harrison Ford.
I seen a clip from it.
Actually, can I just do a ding for a tangent? We were talking about this in the telly show, and it's just because I mentioned digital de-aging. Have you heard the story about Tom Hanks talking about AI, where he said he's going to be immortal, he's going to be a Highlander now through the possibility of AI, that now actors, and I suppose to an extent directors, are going to have to be more careful about their likeness and protective of their likeness post-mortem, because they could just be recreated and used on screen in Toy Story 20. Well, I suppose that's just his voice, but Toy Story 25 or Forrest Gump 3, Jaws Revenge.
Keep on gumping.
Jaws 3, the search for Curly's gold is always my obligatory. Anytime an imaginary film sequel, it's always such and such, the search for Curly's gold, in honour of the great classic that is City Slickers 2. The search for Curly's gold. If you've never seen City Slickers, you're missing out, kids. Billy Crystal at his moderately most funny.
And then, what a compliment.
He talks really highly of me.
Did you have a nice summer with Billy Crystal?
Listen back to previous podcast.
Yeah, Tom Hanks I heard him say this on the Adam Buxton podcast, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll sign away, and people can use my likeness forever," which is a bit of, on his part, you're like, do people want to watch you forever? Because I didn't want to.
You'd at least go see any film twice.
You're right. A Man Called Otto, great the second time.
A Man Called Otto 2, The Search for Curly's Gold. That'll be a cinematic gold.
To be fair, don't want to spoil A Man Called Otto, but it's probably closer to City Slickers 2 than people would realise, because he's deed.
Yeah.
I've spoiled it.
There you go.
What were we talking about? Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, I think so. We're actually, it's like Inception. Whose tangent are we in now? So you were talking about Indiana Jones.
Oh, yeah.
We then talked a bit about Khan. And then I mentioned digital de-aging. And then I went off on another tangent.
But let's go Khan, like the soup, Indiana
So what we
Jones.
need is someone to play Edith Piaf, No Regrets, so we can get out of all these tangents.
Oh, how does that go?
No regrets.
Oh, the song from the end of Mr. Bean's Holiday.
Yes.
Indiana Jones, Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Irish stereotypes.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well
comic book.
remembered. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I'm only awake too.
I know. So generally, yeah, he's got a big tin, kids, of what I thought looked like the energy drink of energy drinks. And you said to me, it's not Stella. Which makes me think that maybe you've done, oh, here we go, ding, tangent. You've maybe done an Always Sunny thing and you've just tipped.
You can gesture.
Yeah.
Without spilling.
You've just tipped the tin of Stella into that weird fruit juice concoction. Just to make it seem like, it's not Stella.
Imagine I came in with like red lips, like it's always silly. I'm dressed as Gamora. Right.
Yeah, so let's get back on track. So Guardians 3, you're a huge fan of the series. I enjoyed the series. I loved the first one. Second one, it's got Kurt Russell, so it's got my money. I didn't go see it twice, though. I've seen it once. This is maybe a point, actually, we should come back to later in the pod.
I seen it 7 times.
Oh, my God. Okay. So you've seen it 7 times. How many times did you see the first?
6.
6. So you like the second one more than the first?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Made me cry more.
Even just the Mickey Rooker bit? Michael Rooker?
Mickey Rooker.
Sorry. Michael Rooker of, Mary Poppins, y'all.
Cliffhanger film.
Yeah. Sequel coming out soon.
With Rooker back?
I don't know. Don't think so.
Did he live?
It's been that long since I've seen it. I just know that Stallone is saying, let's do a sequel to Cliffhanger.
I don't think he has it in him.
Well, he's going to try anyway.
He's also in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yes.
We'll loop it back.
Yeah, there we go. So, but very quickly, you enjoyed 2 more than 1 because it made you cry more.
Yeah, I just feel like, not to get too personal, but fatherly stuff, finding a father is more, it hits me more in the feels rather than my mum's died of cancer.
Okay.
Or brain tumor, whatever she had.
Which her dad gave her, which is a pretty tough sequence in that film. And I think this is something we should come back to because James Gunn is not afraid to kind of push the boat out a wee bit, I think, with the 12A certificate with Marvel. I definitely thought this F-bomb aside, which I know is there largely for comedy values.
Yeah.
I think I read in an interview that, was it the Russos were originally going to have an F-bomb, and then Kevin Feige were like, guys, is this really what you want to be your legacy to be with all this great work you've done to be the first directors to have the F-bomb in an MCU? Don't know why he's talking like this. And they were like, actually, no, it doesn't really improve the scene. We'll just cut it. And I had the same conversation with James Gunn, and he was like, I want it more. I want it more. And yeah, it's a funny scene. They're trying to kind of open the door, and Star-Lord drops the F-bomb to Nebula. And it's funny. I had actually forgotten about it until you mentioned it. It's like, oh yeah, there's that scene. But coming back to that point, he's always pushed the element out. I think this one, for me, very close, because I'm not a part of the BBFC and the guidelines. It's like, how is that a 12A and how is this a 15? I've always had these conversations. But anyway, this is something we'll come back to. But there's always been a darkness in the Guardians. You've alluded to this earlier on, kind of in that idea of broken family. in Guardians 2, there's that sequence where Kurt Russell's character does more or less say, I gave your mum cancer just to kind of get out of that situation. That's pretty nasty. And I always, if you can say, I love how Chris Pratt handles that scene on screen, just his facial reactions. It's really powerful. It's a powerful scene.
Also, immediately just shoots him in the face.
Yes.
You're like, fuck yes.
Yes, that's very, very true. But I didn't enjoy the second one as much as the first. But I loved 3. So that then brings us nicely. We've already had a clip. We've talked a little bit in a rambly way. We've talked a lot already, and we're about 25 minutes into the pod. Adam, what did you think of Guardians 3?
It was alright. It wasn't as good as Batman Quantumania, to be fair. I think it's really good. I will say, we talked a lot after the show last week, and I seen it a second time after that. I was very much on my Letterboxd, Adam Neeson on Letterboxd. I give it a 5 out of 5, and I give the rest of them a 5 out of 5. But if I was being a real critical man, who is talking about actual movies, it would probably land around 7.5, 8-ish. I think there's a few issues I have with the movie. There's a few things that I would have done different. There's a few musical beats that I think aren't as coherent as they are in the first 2. There's James Gunn's Suicide Squad has, in my head, James Gunn's Suicide Squad has really bad musical drops because I think that James Gunn has really bad taste in music. He has good taste in music from Guardians because he's so held back by being 70s and early 80s one-hit wonders. So you're kind of always going to get a good song no matter what it is. Whereas the Suicide Squad has really 90s, early 2000s punk pop based songs that I just do not like. And I was feeling him going into that territory here when you have stuff like Space Hog, that I was like, oh no, is he going to drop a...
Well, it works in the trailer. It works in the trailer, and I know you've made the point that, the idea that the soundtrack he's using, on screen, it's being heard as well. Often, not all the time, but a lot of the times, the likes of Star-Lord, etc., they're listening to that music, so they're reacting to it as well as we are. And yeah, I get what you're saying. It works really well in the trailer, and I know it's kind of the sequence, because I know I have problems with Guardians as much as I love it, and I was tempted to go back and rewatch it before this pod, but I just haven't had time because of life. But it's the whole sequence they're about to invade they're about to break into the organic planet of weird kind of thing that for some reason reminds me a little bit of Slither kind of vibes and kind of the setup. And that's when that song's using it. And I think you made the point at the time, you could have used any song at that. It didn't bother me that much. I felt like they'd maybe said, we've used this in the trailer, it works, throw it in there.
I don't know. I think it's because it's also the first song in the movie that... Well, it's not the first song because Creep is the first song.
Which works.
Yeah, that really works. And you see Rocket picking that song. But then whenever it comes into this, when they're invading the planet, I don't think it's a song that Star-Lord would specifically pick.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? It's just in character. It just seems odd. There's also a song later on. But
then Star-Lord's going through some things. He's trying to work out. So maybe the Star-Lord that we knew... I know the character is definitely very different from what we've seen before in Gamora. She's totally different. You need to go back and see the Avengers movies for that. But he's going through some changes.
I don't think Space Hog is what I'd be listening to if I was going through...
Okay, maybe you should have been playing Tupac Changes.
Fuck yeah. That would have been great.
But no, I would disagree. I like James, because I said to you on the TV show, again, I don't know if it made the cut, I think he's as good as Quentin Tarantino in the use of the needle drop. I mean, there's a great one in this with Mantis and Beastie Boys, which I think is just perfect for that little scene. But also, I'm thinking of, I know I'm moving into DC stuff, but Wigwam with Peacemaker, that weird kind of little dance sequence that they didn't know was going to work or not is just, for me, TV gold. I was going to say cinematic gold, but TV gold with that little intro that I think I just want to learn that little dance just so I can be like John Cena.
Can I say something that I hope doesn't offend people?
Okay.
So strap in.
Okay.
That little dance.
Is this your hot take?
This is my hot take. That is maybe a bit, that dance to me is the embodiment of autism.
Okay.
Just see whenever I see that, the movements of how they all do that, I'm like, oh, it makes me feel not uncomfortable, but like it doesn't feel choreographed, but it's so specifically choreographed that I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it makes me not like that intro.
Okay.
Not that I don't like people with autism. I'm a bit on the spectrum myself. I've seen Joker 7 times.
Well, I liked it. It makes, do you know, at the start of each episode, it just made me chuckle. It's a bit like Ted Lasso. You know, Mrs. says more about my TV viewing habits at home. When you're watching stuff, usually with my lovely wife beside me, it's like, so when we're watching Ted at the minute, I think it's episode 8 or 9 in the current series, an episode, I think the series, maybe the time this episode has went out, it could have finished. And you know the way the opening of the Ted theme tune, there's like the big, yeah. So when we're sitting in the seats, we're kind of waiting to see when the cut to the intro for Ted, where they're going to cut to that, yeah, I'm halfway. So you have to raise your fists up and stuff like that. And normally, sometimes you go a bit too early and then you're left looking like a complete dick. And other times, like, you'll be doing something and you'll have forgotten and then you'll have to go put it back to start.
I've had another hot take.
Put it back to start. You better not slag Ted Lasso. And then I was similar with Peacemaker, where, because I think Peacemaker had a cold opening and then it kind of cut. I can't remember, actually. It's been that while since I've seen it. I think it had a cold open and then maybe it might have been a recap or something, and then it cut back to the episode, and every time it was like you hear Wigwam, you're like, yes! Just a bit with Eagly appears.
Oh, well, he also appears in Guardians 3.
Yeah.
My hot take about Ted Lasso is that I hate the intro, only because, do you know, it's like a shot of Ted coming in, sitting down, right? And then the chairs start changing colour.
Because that's his effect.
And he turns around and he's like, oh, right? And then it shows you a chair with some graffiti on it, and it goes over it. Then it shows you a wide shot of all the chairs turning red to thing. But it shows you a smaller Ted, right, in the stands. But it's clearly just a still image. And it's, because it's panning to the left and it's a still image, it kind of like judders a bit.
Okay.
I've probably got to ruin this intro for you now. It judders a bit. I kind of just wish it was him turning back around or him doing something. It's just this weird.
Heaven knows I tried. Fucking ruined it, mate.
Oi, Jamie Tart.
No, don't have a bad word about wee Jamie.
I love Jamie Tart.
Jamie, hot take. Ding, 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 tangent. If you're watching Ted Lasso, Jamie is my favourite character because of his character arc from where you watch where he came from. He was a complete twat coming on loan from Manchester City to where he is now, where he's a pretty all-round nice guy now. He can still be a twat, but he's a fully founded or fully moulded out twat. Anyway,
the episode when his dad comes and sees him, and then Coach Beard throws his dad into a door. It's like, whoops.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, I'm not gonna let you ruin the intro for either Peacemaker or for Ted Lasso.
What other intros do you like?
X-Files.
Do you know what the hot take is about that?
Right. Okay. So back on focus. So you had issues with the soundtrack. The soundtrack's more eclectic than. Well, I thought that, and then I was listening to the car to Volume 2. Volume 2 is the same. You've got a bit of Sam Cooke in there. You've got doom 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 doom. You've got, it's as eclectic as anything. First one's probably because it sold stupid amounts. I think when it went, was it so many platinum or whatever it was, it done really well.
Jim, do you want to hear something about the Volume 2 soundtrack?
Yeah, here we go.
I own it on digital,
Yeah,
vinyl, CD, cassette, and I think that's the only formats it came out on.
And I legally downloaded about 12 times.
Well, of course. Before it was released.
MP3, WAV.
I'll live for Reddit if you want.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. So
Got it on Polysonic.
yeah.
Well, it's got Mission Impossible if you want that.
Yeah, cheers, mate. You see, you all give. Right. So, soundtrack. We haven't really got into the film. We're still fucking talking about the fucking soundtrack. So, I like the sound. I like the music for this. I mean, I like the idea of Creep, the Florence and the Machine song. I think I'm so tempted to tweet James Gunn and go, "You've ruined that song for me now," because I can't listen to it without either nearly reducing myself to tears or just thinking of Drax dancing, of all the Guardians dancing, because it's just a perfect little moment. But we've managed to go from the start of the film to the end of the film without really talking about anything in between. So I'll bring us back on some sort of path. I sat down to watch it. So it's 2.5 hours in length. I said this to you on the TV show. Just watch the TV show. It'll be far fucking easier than listening to us. We did that in under 12 minutes. This, we're fucking 35 minutes. We went from the start to the end. We'll have to talk about the stuff in the middle. Guardians 3 for me. I remember sitting vividly in the seat in Lisburn Omniplex. Doesn't smell a piss. Just, if they want to give me some free popcorn or anything. Yeah, it doesn't smell until Adam visits. So it's so frantic in terms of its opening. You've got the great sequence with Star-Lord being carried by Nebula, and just you I didn't know about this, but you mentioned it after the recording on the telly show. Again, just drop that again. Just keep dropping that. The interview with James Gunn and Chris Pratt talking, because there's a life-size doll that they created for Karen Gillan to carry. I haven't laughed as much. Check that out online if you can find, where it talks about coming back to what we were talking earlier on about broken people coming into the offices and coming indoors. It makes me laugh. You've got that, and then literally we have Will Poulter smashing through nowhere and attacking the Guardians. It's all at a frantic pace. Rocket gets injured. They then have to find his creator because there's a kill switch if anybody tries to help him or tries to revive him. They have to go on this quest to find his creator. And it's so frantic. It's so manic in terms of its pace. And I've already mentioned there's that sequence with Nathan Fillion, who I love. But I forget what it's called, this weird organic planet. They have to break in to find more details about where the creator for Rocket is located. And I sat in my cinema seat and I was kind of going, this is a mess. I mean, this is a really messy film. And I'm like, I don't know if I like this. Literally was sitting going, it's it's because I love the first two films, particularly the first. And I was kind of going, ooh, I can look, now I'm getting flashbacks. I was just kind of sitting going, this is bad. Once it then gets to, is it alternative Earth? Counter Earth. And it goes a bit Island of Dr. Moreau and kind of settles into itself. It's like, right, I can relax. I'm in safe hands with James Gunn. I know what he's trying to do here with this project. But for a first half hour, maybe 40 minutes, I sat there going, oh, this is a mess. This actually feels like coming back to it, like Ant-Man and the Wasp, where so much is being thrown at the screen. It's like, we're going to do this and that. And there's a lot of stuff happening on screen. It's like, stuff happening on screen isn't character. It's not plot development. It's stuff. But once we get to Counter Earth, it kind of settles in. And I will counter my, no pun intended, my statement by saying, even in that first 40 minutes, the stuff where we get to see Rocket's backstory, that's the stuff that more or less kept me on board. All the stuff that was happening with the Guardians was like, oh, they're going here, they're going there. Ooh. I don't know, do you have any issues with that at all?
I do know what you mean. It is quite full on. The only thing I would say in retrospect from watching the movie as a whole is that the movie starts with them setting up the sign to be like, this is Guardians of the Galaxy, like this is like the headquarters or whatever. And then literally the next day they're all like, right, we're away. See you later. Which, to me, I kind of wish the story started with, do you know the way Thor, Love and Thunder kind of starts with them and all on adventures? But it's never really clear if they are guardians, if they are guarding the galaxy, or if they're still just doing stuff for money. You know, like in the start of Guardians 2, they're getting they're killing those obelisks to save the Sovereign, but it's for money. You know, they're still just bandits. And then after Guardians 2, we next see them in Infinity War, and they're having a conversation about saving somebody, and Rocket's like, yeah, we'll do it for the cheddar cheese. You know what I mean? So they're still money-based, whereas this is the first time we've seen them where they are like, right, we are going to protect people. And then it's literally next day, bye. Of course, they set up the Guardians, and we see them in the after credits. But it's bittersweet, because will we ever see the Guardians again because James Gunn is gone? Or do we just have to believe that they're just out in space, just hanging out?
Well, I think, you know, I know we're kind of rambling all over the place in terms of looking at the film. What I felt about the finale, I've already mentioned about Florence and the Machine and that track and kind of having them all dancing, and this last scene where they will all be together on screen, and, you know, we have Drax waving to Mantis. Oh, Mantis, I love thee. And extraordinary. I mean, the trailer does lead us to believe that there will be a death in the Guardians, and I suppose the way you look at it is there is a death in the Guardians in that sense that this group has kind of, as we've come to know them, is no longer together.
Yeah.
But they're all being separated off. Mantis is kind of going off on her little voyage of self-discovery. Drax and Nebula are going to stay at nowhere. And part of me is like, this is emotional in that sense, but also, is this setting up more TV shows? Like, are we going to have the Mantis show, which I'll happily watch, on her or on her little voyage of self-discovery? Are we going to see maybe kind of a series set in nowhere, that type of thing? We know that Star-Lord is now back on Earth. Rocket is kind of leading the Guardians now, with Groot, I think, still there with him. And I can't think of I've left anyone. Like Gamora's kind of going off and doing her...
She's with the Ravagers.
Space pirate kind of thing. So part of me is like, yeah, are they going to be... Like in the next Avengers movies, the next two, is it going to be, oh, we're going to have to go to nowhere for some little thing, and oh, there's Karen Gillan's Nebula, there's Drax. Are they going to be cameos that can pop up later on? I know that in the post-credits thing, they've said the legendary Star-Lord will return. They haven't said the Guardians will return. So we don't know what shape or form, because he has his own... Now, I'm not that invested, but I think he has his own comic run.
Legendary Star-Lord?
Yeah, so
yes, he does.
Whether or not that's going to be something that's going to be off on his own doing something, I don't know.
That comic run came when he left the Guardians, and Kitty Pryde of the X-Men became the new Star-Lord.
Okay.
So maybe they're setting up that a new Star-Lord could be a thing, but Star-Lord as a concept in the movies has always just been a bit of a joke. Weird.
Well, we don't know. We know that Disney now has access to the Fox universe, and they are setting up with this whole Marvel stuff. You know, we have the X-Men movie. We know that it's happening. I think it's going to be new cast members. There might be old cast members. Fantastic Four is definitely moving forward. I think they haven't confirmed X-Men. Apologies. But it's one of the Avengers sequels, not Kang Universe or the Kang
Wars?
Dynasty. Secret Wars is very much X-Men are part of that. So you're going to have to. They'll probably do Civil War. What they did. There's just a reference. There's Spider-Man. We've already kind of seen Professor X in the last Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah,
didn't last too long.
No.
You know, Dark Phoenix got rid of Patrick Stewart pretty quickly.
Dark Phoenix?
Not Dark Phoenix.
Wanda?
Wanda. Apologies. Such a nerd. I think you'll find that it was actually... Don't know what I went with that voice. But anyway, so, yeah, that was my niggle. It's like, as much as it's kind of like, it felt earned, that little sequence at the end. I always talk about that in that sense, like, things feel earned and built. Like, I counter that with... like the death of Superman in Dawn of Justice, where it's this powerful scene. You've got Hans Zimmer, this great score. Superman's there. He's like, I'm gonna die. Shouldn't have tried to take on Doomsday, love. I love you, Lewis. And I sat there going, I don't give two fucks.
Superman from Ballyhack.
I don't give two fucks, Henry Cavill. I like you as Superman, I really do. But to bring you back with Man of Steel and then one film later go, you did. I'm like, all right, you have all this big build-up. Who gives two fucks? But yet, there we have, I will sit and blub like a child at the end of Guardians 3 just because Drax is dancing.
Yeah.
You know, if that makes sense in some shape or form, but when I put a bit of distance, it's like, right, okay, are you just setting up more possibilities for TV shows? Because that's one thing Marvel needs, more content.
I think it's like, in a perfect world, it's why comic books are the better medium to tell these stories than movies, because comic books come out weekly and they go on forever. You know, you can set up Guardians breaking up and going off and having their own mini-series.
Yeah.
Because if it fails...
But then that pisses you off, though, when it's like, right, we're going to set up this new run. You've now got to buy, like, I'm just going to experience with Batman. It's like, oh, you read this normal Batman comic every couple of weeks. Well, for the part 2 of this story, you've got to go buy a Wonder Woman comic. You're like, oh, for fuck's sake. It's a cost of living crisis. All right, I'll buy it. And I'll buy a second copy so I don't wreck it.
If it's a good writer, Stanley once said, every comic book is somebody's first comic book.
True.
So you should be able to jump into any comic book and know what's happening. There's a new series of Guardians of the Galaxy that's just started. It's on issue 2 comes out today, Jim, and I shall be popping around to our local Forbidden Planet to pick it up.
Comic Book Guys, just because I know Aaron Flanagan from the Comic Book Guys listens. Comic Book Guys is also available.
Sorry, Aaron.
And then there's that other comic book shop that I forget the name of in Smithfield.
Oh yeah, remember that? Is
Yeah.
that still there?
I think it's still there. James Oliver loves it. I forget the name. My apologies.
Comics and Coffee?
Coffee and Heroes.
Coffee Heroes.
Coffee and Heroes. I think that's the name. Apologies, guys.
Do you love the comic books?
And
I
they
love
love,
the
and they
coffee.
love their coffee. But two things you don't want to mix because you don't want to be having a coffee and spill it all over your...
And you can't
Comic-
drink a comic book?
You could try. Challenge accepted. If anyone... I think we should start doing little TikTok challenges and it's like, can Adam Star-Lord Neeson, can he drink a comic? Yes, he can. Adam's dead.
Dance with my pants.
Adam's dead now, but he drank that comic book. Okay, so back to Guardians 3. Yeah, I mean, we're a bit all over the place in kind of term on how we're reviewing it this week, because that's just what you do and the side of me that you bring out, Adam.
Yay.
So I felt for the first half hour, 40 minutes, it was a bit all over the place. Even a Nathan Fillion cameo didn't do enough to settle me down. Once it gets to Counter-Earth and you see that stuff, then you see the dropping of the F-bomb, all that stuff. And then we have the big villain with the High Evolutionary, played by...
Are you looking this up?
I'm looking up his name. I apologise. Chukwudi Iwuji.
Can you play the video that we played today at Butterflix?
Oh, let's see. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Okay.
While you look for that, I'll just say that the first half an hour, first act for me, is a bit over the top and over, it is scattered, but as a long-term, storytelling technique, you are getting a lot of, bits of Rocket has, changed from the first movie and is now taking the Zune and listening to music. He's become more emotional as a character. Star-Lord,
he likes to drink.
He loves a pint. Gamora, completely different character from the first. Like, just if you look at screenshots from the first movie to the third movie, it's obvious to see how much change. I hate actually talking about this because in the back of my head, I could just see Martin Scorsese with his glasses being like, "You're talking about comic book, kid." I don't care. Sorry, Marty.
I've never heard Marty talk like that before.
He's also from Ballyhackamore. With a name like Marty.
Yeah.
He has to be.
It's not the Marty Scorsese, it's a Marty Scorsese from West Belfast.
He's a butcher.
Yeah.
Do you know what I love? The Green Mile. 3 hours, you can just sit down and enjoy it all.
None of that Marvel shit. None of that Marvel shit. Here, do you want, how many pounds of sausage do you want, love?
See, dads that hate Marvel stuff love Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Anytime you ever see, they'd be like, you see all this Avengers and all? Bring it back to the good old days. Toby, sticky fingers.
Sticky fingers.
Speaking of, do you want half a pound of ribs? No, thanks, Marty.
Here, you know, it's not as good as old Blade. Blade was good show.
See when he's on the rave. I remember going to a rave in the milk.
At Kelly's Disco. Had the blue jeans on and a nice clean shirt, and Jesus was wild.
See when the blood started coming from the roof. I thought,
Jesus.
this is the way they do it out in the country.
Oh, Jesus, Marty. Do you know what, though? As good as them ones are, I do love old Christopher Reeves as Superman, hey.
Jesus, you can believe a boy he could fly?
That Don fella, he had some figure on him.
I would have punched that horse.
See, that horse, that's a bastard of horse. He'd have made Superman 5, hey. Fucking Jesus. But anyway, hey, none of that Marvel shite here. What is it there, love? Chicken boned, right, okay. No, it's too early. Too early, love, to be putting in orders for Christmas for turkeys. No, none of that now. Wait you and watch Richard Donner's Superman 2. None of that Richard Lester shite.
Is this a Martin Scorsese that's secretly a cinephile, but also a butcher in West Belfast?
Yeah, it works in so many levels.
I'll tell you what's a good show. That's Once Upon a Time in America. Following things on for ages.
Jesus, I tell you that. I had the cow took part from hoof to tail when I was watching that. It was great show.
De Niro was still farting about.
I tell you, Marty, come on out here. It's not. Sorry, Robert, Bonnet. It's not the Robert De Niro. It's a Robert De Niro because he's clever.
It's Bobby.
Yeah, and we Joe Pesci, but he can't lift. He can't reach over the counter.
Joey Pish.
Sadly, it is the Joey Pesci because he's being method that like James Woods in The Simpsons to be the role of a butcher assistant.
He's working in McAfee's.
It's like Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You ever see that wrestler? That's a good show. I remember Jan Haystacks. He wouldn't have been able to kill him.
I thought it was a great show, but see the way he handled the meat on screen. That was terrible. I
really got up my bacon.
Didn't wash his hands or nothing. Dirty bastard. Here, love. There you go. Just clean your feet there in the sawdust. Wee bit of blood there, love. It's all right.
That's just a giblet.
That's Robbie. You know, he's fuck's sake, just fucking about there. Anyway, right, okay. I don't know where the fuck we went with that.
Ding.
Yeah.
Oh, Chihuahuas?
Yes, okay. So we were talking about that.
It's not my Chihuahua, it's your Chihuahua.
Right. So I have to say, so what was your thoughts on the film's villain played by...
Squirty-woogie. Squirty-woogie. Squirty-woogie.
Just want to tell the listeners that whenever Jim got this up during the show,
Squirty-woogie.
He turns into a wee schoolboy.
Because I was like, right, okay, I'm going to be very serious and try so I can pronounce this. So I kind of went with it because it was a bit like David Oyelowo. I need a Brad Pitt to kind of shout his name. So I apologise if the actor or anyone knows him is listening. I don't think he works in Marty Scorsese's Butcher in West Belfast. He could do, but I thought it was like Shikwudi Iwuji. That's what I took through. And then you said to me, Jim, why don't you just double check? Because you don't want to make a dick out of yourself. It's like, very good point, Adam. No, I usually just do that in the pod rather than on the TV show. And then I played this, and this is what came up.
Squirty. Iwuji.
And I was like, right, okay. Because as someone who works in news, that person on YouTube who helps us pronounce things is quite helpful from times. I didn't find him helpful. But yes, I was a bit disappointed by him as a villain. Very kind of, I've already mentioned, kind of Dr. Moreau-esque in this. He wants to create a better Earth, better, you know, he's tired of all the chaos and the needless killing, so he's just going to genetically modify animals so they can be improved. And coming back to Ant-Man, it's a bit like my argument with Kang. It's like, right, you do all that, what do you do the next day when you've done that? I mean, what really can you do? Now, I know in the film they do kind of address that because he's like, right, well, it's not perfect. I'm just going to destroy it and start again. So you get a sense that will be that repetition of what will happen. He will start to try and create a better world. He'll have a flaw with it, destroy it, move on again. I just felt he was a bit of an underwhelming presence.
Okay.
You disagree?
Yeah, it was nice to have an MCU film that in the third act wasn't like, you know what, I'm right, I'm going to save the day. Like we've had like the Scarlet Witch and fucking what other movies came out, like Icarus from Eternals, remember that? And Gore the God Butcher, just the one god.
Yeah. He's trying to butcher Marty.
I had a wee intern called Gior.
Wee bastard.
Wee baldy boy.
He looked well like Batman, but you know.
Not my Batman though.
No, not my Batman. He was no Val Kilmer.
No Jor. See, whenever he goes into the room and Chase Meridian sitting there in a wee fucking nightingale. Woo! Jesus.
Oh, Jesus. I got a wee flutter. I had to go change his shirt. The sweat was dripping from me. Dripping. Had to go hang the meat. Had to go stand in the freezer for a couple of minutes. I said, Jesus, this is some stuff. This is some stuff. I can't be going out in that Ben Sherman shirt wearing this when I'm sitting the sweat dripping out of me. Oh, there's Nicole Kidman. She's some dirty girl.
Every time Jim Carrey was coming on with riddles, I was going, how's Batman going to fucking solve this? I'd be puzzled. I had the baldy.
If you kill him, he won't learn nothing. Of course he fucking won't. He's fucking dead.
Why do you have a pocket full of coins?
And that old fucking... Here, I was confused, because I remember there was that old Harvey Dent fella. He was in the first film, but he was black.
He was a black man.
And then in the third film there, he's a white fella. So technically, should it not have been Harvey Three-Face?
See, whatever your boy from that NCIS LA, see whatever, or sent him a woman. see when he was drying his clothes with his tootsies, and Alfred's watching him doing it. I was thinking to myself, boy, that boy's dripping water everywhere. That's a fucking...
That's a hell hazard. Here, do you know what I thought to myself? Here, Rob, Bobby, come here, Bobby. See, when I was watching them old Batman films, I'd love, see if I was that old butler. See if I was that butler, I'd love to turn around that Feldon fucking millionaire, billionaire bastard and go, would you fuck up? Get your own fucking dinner, you bastard.
That's not even that scary.
Aye, fucking, I don't know where the voice is going now.
Because you're doing Bobby.
Yeah, you talking to me?
I don't see anybody else in this butchery. You must be talking to me.
What are you guys talking about? It's me, Joe Pesci. What are you talking about, you guys? I can't see over the counter.
Would you fuck up, Joey Pesci?
Way back and play some golf, you bastard. Everything, that's how you just go with this voice. It's everything just running, you bastard.
Do you remember Joe Pesci's rap album?
Yeah. Oh, Joe. Actually, on that tangenty note, ding, ding, ding. I think I've talked about this before with Bill Taylor, but apparently, I don't know if I believe it because I think it was a BuzzFeed article, the Fountain of All Truth. There apparently is people in this world, although there is a lot of talk about like AI Britney's and that Britney's all her videos. I allowed myself to go down the tangent on that one night, and like, just before bedtime, I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like Bobby De Niro and like Marty Scorsese and the Marty's Butchers. And I was like, Jesus, you before you realise you spent like 4 hours on kind of TikTok just looking at different videos. I forgot what I was going to talk about now.
Joe Pesci, BuzzFeed.
Oh, yes, sorry, Joe Pesci. There are apparently, BuzzFeed, as we say, it's the fountain of all truth. There are people that watch Home Alone and don't realise that Joe Pesci at the start as the cop is Joe Pesci the criminal.
Does the gold tooth not give it away?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I trust BuzzFeed, but this is where I'll throw my lovely wife underneath the car just after our anniversary to record this pod. She did not know that Kevin Smith and Silent Bob was the same person.
Well, were you watching the reboot?
Yeah.
Technically 2 different characters.
This is the film we were watching.
And you can forgive her for it?
I do, but I also don't. Because she's like, Silent Bob's lost a lot of weight, and so's Kevin Smith. And you're like, because they're the same fucking person, that's why. The same person. But anyway, we were talking about Joe Pesci. Let's bring it on home, bringing it back like Sam Cooke in Guardians 2. Ooh. Let's do... So we were talking about the villain. You quite like the villain in Guardians 3.
I also think that because High Evolutionary in the comic books is pretty much just a villain of the week, you know. there is nothing. He wouldn't be on the same spectrum as he also hates the Peacemaker intro.
I was going to make a joke. I was like, no, I'll let you dig that shovel.
He isn't in the same range as like a Thanos.
Dig that shovel. That doesn't work. Dig that hole with that shovel, I should have said.
Dig that shovel.
Dig that shovel, boy.
The new Joe Pesci album. So to have like someone who's just acting up a storm, pretty much in a room with just Sean Gunn on his knees, pretending to be Rocket, I was thoroughly impressed. His line of "There is no God, so I stepped in." For like the second time, I was still like, "That's such a fucking good line." That's so like, even everybody in the room is like, "Oh shit."
It is a. I mean, I don't detest him. I don't dislike him. I mean, he's not as boring as say Kang. That's my problem. I think with this new phase, Kang as a central villain, having not invested in the comics, I find him boring. It's like, right, at least Thanos.
Kang's born in the comics as well.
Yeah, at least Thanos, there's an element of interest in the fact that he's like a genocidal Bono. There's a reason, there's a kind of twisted logic in what he's trying to do, and it's the sense that he's mad enough to think that he's the only person that can carry out that burden. But I come back to the point, my favourite villain so far in the MCU, I know it's technically kind of verging into Sony. Sorry, Marty, it's not the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, but the Tom Holland Spider-Man. Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton's Vulture, because he's not out to, and I know any regular listeners will be bored with me making this comment anytime we talk about Marvel, but it's that sense that he's not trying to take over the world or anything. He's just trying to make ends meet, trying to get enough money to get by and make sure his daughter can go to college, and he'll do whatever it takes to do that. And he's more interesting as a character. Okay, I know he's kind of in now in the weird kind of Morbius world.
Let's team up and get him.
That may or may not happen, and there's talk it might be Andrew Garfield's universe, all that kind of shite, because they did trade off apparently, and like, you get that and we get this.
Even with that too, that is also taking a character from the comic books like Vulture, who's just, Larry David with wings, and giving him something actually interesting, and it's something that a lot of MCU movies forget to do, where they're so attached to the comic book that they forget that most of the villains are human. So give them like a human aspect, like you give Vulture a family. It's the most interesting thing. Whereas like even Mysterio, people poo-poo Far From Home, but I think Mysterio having the connection to Tony Stark is a valid.
Well, Far From Home is clever in that sense. It's looking at fake news. And it's that sense. Sometimes you do get Marvel movies that are saying, like, have a look, kids. Think about all these falsehoods and all this stuff and what you're being represented. Question things and things that you're being shown. It's not always, truth. You have to dig a little bit deeper. So, yeah, I do like Far From Home.
And then No Way Home is just...
William Dafoe.
And that's only because it was set up.
Do you know what? See if we could get William Dafoe into our little butchery department. William Dafoe owns, not the William Dafoe, a William Dafoe. He actually owns like a bakery next door. Or no, not a bakery. Fruit and veg shop.
Fruit and veg shop. Well, if you've ever seen videos of Big Willem on stage naked, you ever seen the size of his penis?
I've never.
I want you to clip that and put it in every week. Here's our new section. You ever seen the size of his penis?
Yeah. Have you seen the size of his dick?
Willem Dafoe, Bobby, what are you doing here?
The thing about William Dafoe is...
That's Christopher Walken.
No. Christopher Walken, he's actually in a coffee shop.
Oh, I'm having a cappuccino.
No, well, actually, it would have to be Al Pacino.
I'm having a Dunkachino.
Pacino's cappuccino.
Sir, Dunkachino from
Yeah.
Jack and Jill.
No.
Don't we stand a legend?
No, I had to go see that film for I think actually City Beat. I had to go see that film at the Odyssey Cinemas in the largest screen possible and watch that, and then have to come out, and they phoned me and said, right, Jim, you've got like 30 seconds, tell us your thoughts. It's shit. It's shit. And then I made some piffy comment about blah, 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 blah. Oh, it's not funny. I did like Adam Sandler when I was younger. You know, if I'm going to pay £6-7 to see men dressed as women, I'm going to go to the Kremlin. I'll probably have more fun. And they clipped it and twisted it and made it sound like I can't think of any better way of spending £6 than seeing Jack and Jill at the Odyssey. Other cinemas can go to fuck.
Do you want to hear something about Jack and Jill?
Go for it.
Have a guess what I'm going to say about.
Seen it about 6 times, Jim?
I have seen it about 6 times.
At the cinema?
Twice in the cinema. And then I watched it.
Why, Adam? Stop giving producers your money.
I enjoyed Jack and Jill when I first seen it.
Oh, really?
Not as a good movie. As like a dumb, I'm having a laugh. See when she kicks the old granny up the head with a football? It's funny, Jim.
It's in every Adam Sandler film.
I don't care. I want it. And then recently I showed my girlfriend, I was like, people slate this movie, but it's actually pretty funny. And then about
Please tell me your girlfriend hated it.
45 minutes in, I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, this is not funny at all.
Good. What's your girlfriend's name?
Heidi.
Good job. You know, teach him. Because if Adam is allowed to go unhinged, there'll be Jack and Jill 2. Netflix will want to bring it back.
Fuck, imagine. To be fair, though, she watched... what was the movie she watched recently? Oh, I was talking yesterday to her. She was like, I sat and watched the whole Santa Claus TV show.
I've watched that.
Tim Allen?
Yeah.
Did you know that's a thing?
Yeah, I've watched it.
You watched it all?
Yeah.
Is it good?
No.
Is it better than Jack and Jill?
Yes.
Oh, well then. Maybe she does have taste.
Yeah. I don't know why we watched it. And each time we were like, this is really shit. Because my wife and I, we make commitments to watching TV shows. And like the first or second episode, like, oh, this is a real mess. This is really bad. Well, we watch something new. It's like, no, we've started this. Like I've started watching Fatal Attraction on Paramount Plus.
Oh.
And I'm not enjoying it. Although I'm not hating it.
Is it sexy?
Kinda.
It's Lizzie Kaplan, isn't it?
Yes.
She's like my number one, like, what's happening?
Yeah. You know, she has... I mean, all the actors are good. I mean, she does, like, the great iconic line from Fatal Attraction. I'm not going to be ignored, Dan. I'm not going to be ignored. You're like, yeah, it's all good. But it's like, it works better as a 2-hour film or whatever it is. Because what they do is they go back and they'll show different scenes from different people's perspectives, which is clever-ish, and it's probably trying to be more modern look at something like Fatal Attraction, but it's just flawed.
Better than American Gigolo?
Yeah.
Did you watch that?
The TV show?
Yeah, with John Barnthal?
No.
Poo-poo.
No, I did know that they made a TV series of True Lies, which will be the next podcast, when we're looking back at the original part of our James Cameron retrospective that we recorded months ago, and I'm just getting around to actually getting up on the server. But I know that's been
our
cancelled.
beautiful Joe?
Yeah, it's with Joe. It's been cancelled, I'm afraid. Not that pod, but the True Lies TV series, because it was bad. It wasn't a lot of fun. Anyway, so I don't know how we got into this kind of weird kind of thing. We were talking about stuff. You were talking about Jack and Jill. I think we were talking about Al Pacino running a coffee shop on this little street that's a bit like, what do you call that TV show that used to be on BBC Two? That used to have on BBC Two, and it had all the famous people. And Mark O'Kine was there.
64 Zulian. 64.
Yeah, all that stuff. So we've got this. This would be a great little... I think we should pitch this to BBC.
Willem Dafoe's big penis. It's a big budget.
Yeah.
Like Martin Scorsese in his 80s being the lead.
Yeah.
I suppose it's like, what do you call that show people watch on Netflix? That really narrows it down. That is like, it's full of old people. It's like the Something Experiment. Who's in it? Is Michael Douglas in it?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Netflix, hit us up. You've got loads of money.
Yeah. Make it happen. We can do like that really terrible thing that I see advertised. I've never watched on ITV where it just does deep fakes. And it's like the Kardashians and stuff in a certain street, and they're like, they've made deep fakes of different famous people living in this little street. You're like, nah, you're all right. I'm not going to watch
terrible.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it. I've seen the trailer every so often, late night when I'm watching Family Guy when I can't sleep. And I can't be arsed trying to find the thing to change it to Disney Plus so I can watch it without ads.
Oh, I guess I got an idea. What about the people that make the spit and image puppets? But they run a series of shops. On
Castle Street in Belfast. Has to be Castle
Street. It has to be Castle Street.
Castle Street, yeah.
And you cut the live footage of people doing mental stuff. And then Marty being like, there's fucking Jamie out again.
Fucking bastard.
Headbutting the post.
Yeah, we Joe Pesci just over the counter. What's going on, Marty? What's going on?
But he's live action.
And the only joke that we have with Robert De Niro is every week he's like coming out of the back of the of the shop going, "You guys talking to me? You're talking to me? No, Marty, we're not talking to you. All right, I'm on my way back. I don't know why I sounded like the Jungle Book, or sounded a bit like that. I don't know, baby. I'm smarter than the average bear."
I think we're on to a winner.
Yeah, I think, you know, if I see this anywhere else, if I see Shane Todd or anybody else producing this, I'll know they'll listen to this pod. Make it happen. Or if you do it on your own without me, I'll be raging. You know, this is going to be like you mentioned Adam Buxton podcast earlier. This is like Adam and Joe all the way. Always has my heart. Right, okay, so Guardians 3. We're going to have to wrap this pod up, I think. Guardians 3, yeah, I mean, I find the villain a little bit underwhelming. And, yeah, I mean, I come back to, I think I mentioned this earlier on, like the violence levels, it's a tough going at times. There's some great sequences. James Gunn, I think he's great at needle drops with music. He knows how to do an action sequence as well. Yeah. As much as I say, like, the sequence early on with Will Poulter and as Adam's Warlord, whatever it is, Adam Warlock, sorry. I'm
pushing up my glasses.
Yeah. It's manic and frantic. There's a sequence near the end of an action sequence, and it's probably the last time because they do make that little call back to the original Guardians when you just see them all walking towards the camera, and it's like, oh, they're all back, and then it just cuts to a great action sequence, and that's fab.
Yeah,
because it's frantic, it's manic, but it's kind of like oh God, what do you call him? Who directed the first 2 Avengers movies?
Joss Whedon.
And then he was kind of cancelled. Josh Whedon's good at doing action sequences. He can move plot along. This isn't really moving the plot along. It's just a well done, well executed action sequence, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I don't really know if the word to really go from that. So
did we like the movie? I can't really.
I did like it. It's the fact, I think I want to go back, because this is a point I wanted to make, actually. This is the first Marvel movie in a long, long time. I've said, you know what? Friday night, my lovely wife and I, we usually go to the cinema. See if nothing else was on, I'd happily go see it again. Maybe not like you, where you'll just go like, did I like this? Did I not? I can just imagine your eyes just going from side. Did I not? I'll go see it again. Yeah, I'll go see that film again. I said to my wife and I, we were talking, and we were like, yeah, I'd maybe go see that again. Because she sobbed. Like, there is scenes in this film, particularly coming back to, like, Rocket's youth, where it broke me properly. Like, the little, I haven't even mentioned, his little chums. Taves.
Lower.
Yeah.
Layla.
And Layla.
And Rocket's first words are, hurts. Break your heart.
All that stuff is great. And my lovely wife, I turned round, and she was watching it, and she was like, I'm not okay. She actually, like, 2 times in her life she said that in the cinema with me. Mamma Mia 2, where the old Streep comes back as a ghost, as a Force Jedi, as a Jedi, and in this, where she turned to me and goes, I'm not okay.
Funny connection between the two. Mamma Mia 2 came out the same day that James Gunn got booted off Guardians 3.
There you go.
So I remember sitting watching Mamma Mia 2.
For the 3rd time.
Jim, I did see it 3 times in the cinema. My legs were in the air, my hands were in the air, clapping. Yeah, come again. Phone buzzed. Who could be text me at this important part? Everybody knows I'm
James
watching
Gunn.
Mamma Mia. Open up my phone.
James Gunn. Been ditched, mate.
Sorry, big son. Won't be doing it.
So it wasn't the James Gunn, it was a James Gunn who from West Belfast again?
Jimmy Gunn.
Jimmy Gunn, he does a DIY shop.
It's called Nuts and Guts. It's a DIY shop, but also he's a horror fanatic.
Yeah. And
sells Freddy Krueger gloves.
Yeah.
For the garden.
Yeah. It's all good.
I think the show's really picking up.
I think we have got gold. I think I can walk into work tomorrow and go, I'm quit. I've come up with comedic gold. We just need to get this list of actors. People who look mildly like them.
What could be the name?
Castle Street, where everybody knows your name. Someone has that one. Anyway. So, James Gunn, you're innocent.
No, King of the Castle.
I like it.
Don't like King of Queens,
Mm-hmm.
but it's King of the Castle.
And it'll be funny,
and
unlike
it's-
King and Queens.
And we bring back Jerry Stiller from the dead. Like Curly's ghost. Marty, we gotta get these sausages.
No, he can just play the character who goes into every shop.
Phantom. Phantom Jerry Stiller.
Maybe we can get Ben as well.
Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
To direct.
No, he can just be there.
He'd just be there.
Yeah.
Getting angry. He has to play his character from Friends.
I don't know why, but Justin Theroux is going to direct it.
Oh, I was thinking Louis Theroux, and I was like, man's never directed anything in his life, apart from his documentaries.
Oh, Justin's done a few.
His money don't jiggle.
We have went very much off tangent on this pod. So
I'd like to apologise.
Yeah.
But also, hope you're enjoying us. 'Cause
Yeah, hopefully
we're
so.
having a good time.
But if you steal our idea, you're dead to us.
King of the Castle.
Copyright.
2025.
Yeah, it's going to happen. We're going to get the Netflix money.
I really hope that none of the people we've talked about, you know, my podcasts have a real curse for talking about people, and then the next day they're dead.
Yeah, it's happened before. A couple of us like, we can't do that pod anymore. Why? They're dead.
Hollywood's really...
Hollywood.
We've brought up so many people from Hollywood that fucking... They're going to go bust. How many people died the last day?
So, Guardians 3.
Yeah, pretty good.
So, action sequence is good. All the stuff with Rocket, really powerful. And we haven't even mentioned Sean Gunn.
Yeah.
You know, he has. It's the fact that everybody has their own little moments to shine in this, and he's trying to perfect the weird kind of whistling, kind of like
The Yaka Arrow.
Yaka. Oh, you nerd, such a big fucking nerd.
Glasses.
Yeah, such a nerd. But
Pardon me?
he's trying to perfect that. He's trying to perfect that. And coming back to, like, there's a scene that really got to me as well with Michael Rooker, sorry. Coming back from
Oh, we got another character.
Yeah. We have a ghost appearance of Michael Rooker again, just popping up as Yondu.
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 Adonta.
There we go. He pops up and and that's the sequence where you know it's like, right, he's going to perfect this now. A little, isn't it Cosmo, the dog?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a good boy. Good dog. I am a good dog. I mean, there's a proof that you can get as much mileage out of one joke as you possibly can, because it literally just keeps cutting back to nowhere, and it's like, I'm a good dog. I am not bad dog. You really mean I'm good dog? It's like, nope.
You know, there's Cosmo fans out there that were fucking pissed that that's all that character got.
Yeah.
They were like, I can't wait to see Cosmo. 3 movies have been setting this character up. Oh no, wait, now it's a girl instead of a boy, and the only thing they get to say is good dog.
Yeah.
People probably annoyed.
But they have their big moment as well.
Oh yeah, and Hard Duck is also there.
Yes.
And Lloyd Kaufman.
Yes.
Big Uncle Lloyd.
And
Christopher Fairbanks.
Eagly, as you mentioned as well.
Eagly.
Yeah.
Is there any other Easter eggs we should...
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles apparently is one I've seen online, kind of like when the turtles being evolved. It briefly looks like one of the Ninja
kinda,
Turtles.
Let's see if I can think of any other Easter eggs. Well, James...
Cadbury's, Twirl. Always fond of a mini eggs Easter egg myself.
I bought a Kinder Easter egg for myself because it had...
Were you disappointed? Did you think it was going to be a gigantic version of a Kinder egg and it just had little Kinder eggs inside it?
No, it was a big Kinder egg,
Right.
but it had a Jake Sully action figure on it.
All right. Okay.
Jake Sully.
That's random.
We never talked about Avatar 2. I loved it.
We never did. When we did a podcast about it.
It's good.
Go back and listen to the podcast.
I did listen. It was you and Joe.
Yeah, Joe and I, Dreamboat. More, it felt rambly at the time.
I'm going to kiss that man if I see him.
Well, just don't tell Catherine.
I will. I'm going to warn her.
Just kiss them both at the same, or just kiss Catherine to say, I've kissed Joe.
No girls.
Yeah, cooties.
Gross.
Okay, right, we'll cut that. Right, okay. So, yes, Avatar 2, fuck's sake. We're not going to do an Evil Dead pod. No, because it's going to be at least 10 minutes to talk about the film, and then it's like, right, let's move more forward with this project. Justin Theroux's to direct. He's attached to direct. Ben Stiller's dad's expressed an interest. Isn't he dead? But he said he was interested.
You tell me he's not.
I'm trying to think of other things. We've got a news. Listeners, we've got all these little kind of shops in this little Castle Street I was going to say fictitious Castle Street, but it's just behind us where we record.
I can see it.
But yeah, we need a news agent. Tom Hanks, CGI Tom Hanks.
Oh, CGI Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
But it has to be from Polar Express. So his eyes
Dead
are always
eyes.
dead.
Yeah.
Do you have the new Lord of the Rings magazine with the wee figurines in it? And he's just dead-eyed. Hot chocolate.
No, actually asked for the mouth. Hot chocolate. That's his only line.
Hot chocolate. But there's like a real somber episode where like
He's just like Groot. It's like I'm bringing it back.
we finally understand him at the end.
I'm bringing it back at the end. So yes, so that on that note, before I let you go off on that tangent about that, the fact that our CGI Tom Hanks can only say hot chocolate. So we have there's things I like about. I mean, Groot isn't really given that much to do this time round. He's done a lot of aging since he died in the first.
There's been a lot of literal character growth.
There has been. Then in the second one, there's a little kind of Baby Groot spin-off on Disney Plus, and then we've seen him a little bit, and very briefly, I think. And he's not much in the Christmas special or holiday special. I haven't even really talked about the holiday special, which I loved.
He's having a big dance.
Yes, and we do get this. Just on this note, because I haven't mentioned it. Mantis in this film, I adore. I adore, and she gets all her big moments, so that's what I kind of loved.
When she calls Nebula dickhead, that's
Yeah.
good. Enjoy that.
Yeah, which is good. And yeah, Groot, we get to see in the final sequence, near the final, it's like, I love you guys, family. I love you guys. Go see Fast and Furious 9.
We got the rock in it.
Is it 10? No, it's 10.
It's 10.
Go
Plus
see
X.
Fast and Furious 10. Go see Fast and Furious 10. Remember when I said there would only be 2? I lied. No, that's Arnie. There'll be 3. Family never dies. So there's a lot. That's his moment, which I get what James Gunn was trying to do, that we all understand and we hear. And there's a whole joke throughout the film that Gamora doesn't understand Groot anymore. She's like, I know your name. I know it's Groot. What are you trying to tell me? I am Groot. Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate.
Come Vin Diesel, voice, or CGI Tom Hanks.
That's a lot of money, but yeah,
It's worth it.
we're going to have to go to Apple TV.
Yeah. They'll make Ghosted, they'll make any shit. Listen back to or watch previous episode of TV show with Adam and I.
Fucking ghosted.
Okay, so that was cheesy. It kind of worked for me, but it was almost a little bit too much. I did like in the first film, We Are Groot. I liked that, and I probably would have liked that more than going, I love you guys.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
I had a friend that was like, it should have been subtitled. And I was like, but that makes no sense. He's never been subtitled.
Mm-hmm.
You would have been just like, why is there just words on the screen all of a sudden? My friend's
Stuff.
My friend's a loser.
Loser with a capital L. He's not going to be watching Castle Street. Other things, Gamora. Not. I'm literally just going to wrap things up very quickly. But Gamora, that relationship with. We haven't really talked actually on this note about Star-Lord. He's going through a lot. There's that stuff of he's clearly been. I don't want to use the term. There's a lot of emotional baggage from losing Gamora, and then Gamora comes back, but it's not the Gamora that he knows. And it's this sense like, maybe you will love me. I can make you love me. And she's like, no, I'm a different person. And there's probably something, maybe I'm reading too much into that sense that, come back to like almost kind of Vertigo-esque, where you're trying to mold someone into the image of somebody else that you want them to be when they're not. It's a completely different person. It's quite clever. It's quite deep. I just don't know. There's a lot of stuff there. I think this is very much Rocket's story.
Yeah.
I think Star-Lord maybe gets a bit lost in it.
A touch. I think, not to get, fucking super serious that are in after talking about the King of Castle Street, but there is the through line.
Can we call it that? The King of Castle Street?
Of course.
Yeah, boom.
I think there is the through line of, if you've been committed to their relationship and if you have ever, even though Gamora dies, it kind of is like a breakup of those two characters. And then this third one is if you ever, were on a night out and met up with an ex, and you haven't seen them for a few years, and they have changed as a person because of the breakup or what they've went through since the breakup, and in your head you're kind of like, well, this is the same person. It's like you could convince yourself to be like, oh well, she broke up with me, but you know she'll come through to her ways. And
It wasn't me, it was her.
Yeah, we'll get back together. It's fine. And then you kind of realize that like the spark is there, but it's not worth going back to.
Mm-hmm.
And that last line between those two of were we fun? And Stardust says, like you wouldn't believe, hit me so hard in the cinema of thinking of a past relationship I'd been in and being like, if I was ever in that situation and talked to this person that I used to go out with, if she said that to me, I would have been like, oh, I'm actually just going to cry in place. And for those characters that probably will never meet again, that's a perfect wrap up for those characters, because it's also two characters that were never described or shown on screen as being sexual with each other.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like there was a bit of lust with Star-Lord from the first movie, because he is like this, like, oh, I'm a space pirate who just goes with random girls. Like, he didn't even remember the girl's name in the first movie. She's just on the ship. And then by the second movie, they are a family, and they've adopted being a mother and father to this family, especially with Baby Groot.
Mm-hmm.
And then for this third movie to touch back on it, and it is kind of an ex coming back into your life, and he has taken it so hard that he's turned to alcohol. And even though it's not really touched on in the movie, it is kind of like a somber way to open a movie, to be like, this guy's blocked, and his best mates are having to carry him through work, literally and figuratively, to now for him to realize that he needs to grow up and find himself, and they kind of all
And go home.
Yes, he needs to go home, and he says he's been running away all his life. It's time to stop running, and goes back home. And even though going back home is just sitting with his granda eating cereal, it's the normality of this man that's 38 in the chronology of
He's a man-child.
He's a man-child, but
I can relate to that.
well, of course, Jim. Both of us sitting here talking about the King of Castle Street. He, this is since he was 9, the first time he's actually been human again.
Mm.
And even though watching him eating cereal and talking to his granda about the guy next door cutting his grass, it's probably, to us, boring, but to him, the most interesting thing in the world, because that's nothing he's ever experienced before.
True.
Sorry to get serious, Jim.
You brought it back.
Can you edit out the 45 minutes where we talk about the King of Castle Street?
Let's be honest, an hour of pure fucking nonsense before we get to that. I
put
get
that
you. I
in.
mean, I like the fact that there is. I think he's sidelined, but I think it's rightfully so that he's sidelined. It's Rocket's story, and it's not a redemption story, but it's filling in his character that we've had hinted at before, and you go on this journey with him. And along that way, there are other characters who have, the realization that Drax the Destroyer, he's not a destroyer, he's a dad. And he was really born to be a dad. Nebula going from kind of hench person, I think you said this in the TV, to go from a hench person in the first film to kind of now being the leader of Nowhere. It's all about character growth and development, and you haven't seen an awful lot of it at times in the MCU. It's literally just... Probably the closest thing is probably Captain America and what they did with those 3 films with Cap. Maybe not the other characters, less so. Mm-hmm. But I think the journey that you went with Captain America in those films, probably similar in that sense that here we have characters that have all, in various shape or forms, grew, some for the better, some for the worse, but they have at least changed and adapted to where they were, and that's a testament to James Gunn.
It's also, just to loop it back right at the beginning of the pod, if you take the Ant-Man series as like a comparative, it's 3 movies, all done by the same director, mostly done by the same writers. Ant-Man in the first movie is practically the same as he is in the third movie.
Yeah.
And
He's just a bit older, and that's saying a lot for Paul Rudd.
well, and
He's finally aging.
and Evangeline Lilly, like, what growth has there been? Fucking Michael Douglas, what growth has there been since the first one when they?
Well, he likes ants. Well, he always liked ants, but he thinks ants are socialists. So there we go. That's his growth.
From the first movie, at the end of that, when they get rid of Darren Cross and they take over the company again, and in the second movie, like what, like they just are on the run, I guess, and then in the third movie, they're heroes because he just happened to save the world and has taken advantage of it. It's such a rocky path, whereas like the Guardians trilogy, even though, like I said, it is, I wish we'd seen bits of the in-between because there's so many stories that you could tell that could fill in gaps. The trilogy as a whole, no matter what the stories that should have been told, the story that is told can be seen through the individual characters by the end of the third volume.
Yeah, and the last thing I will say, and we will wrap up, the real thing I was disappointed, Adam Warlock isn't given that much to do. It's a bit of a waste of Will Poulter. He's there at everything that it builds up to in that finale. I know we've kind of spoiled some things, but we're not outrightly spoiling stuff. His moment of redemption is so heavily telegraphed that there's an aforementioned there is an unfortunate event, and you kind of go, well, I know what's going to happen here. The film does kind of tease you, and it says, oh, maybe it's not, and this is how we're going to end you, and we tease the fact that there's going to be death and consequences, and it does go a bit Marvel. It's like, well, actually, no, because you've got him here. He can just do stuff. On another note, actually, thankfully, again, coming back to credit to James Gunn, with the post-credits, it's not just throwing another character like Doctor Strange did with Charlize Theron. Just kind of, here's a character, you won't have a fucking clue unless you're a big comic book nerd with them glasses. You're not going to have a clue who they are, and you're going to have to wait for the next Avengers movie or the next Doctor Strange movie to have that explained. It's just, as you mentioned, Star-Lord with his grandparents, just reading the paper, and you have the formation of the new Guardians team.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like that. I mean, the fact that I suppose I've just kind of countered that. Well, no, they don't really introduce new characters because all those characters are kind of there throughout the narrative. So yeah, so James Gunn, you did good.
Yes.
You did good. You definitely have a role in The King of Castle Street.
You made movies in a world of content. Like the MCU, some of it's just content. Like, and people treat it as such and love it as such. When you're like, well, how's this lead into that? How's that lead into this? Whereas a lot of the MCU, if you actually take it piece by piece and movie by movie, they don't actually connect into each other that much. Like if you watch Thor Ragnarok, the next movie after that is Infinity War, and there's nothing really in Thor Ragnarok to say, we're about to have the biggest event, like, after this, apart from the after credits when a ship appears. Cool. But there seems to be, after Infinity War and Endgame, this sort of like online kind of... Do you know what it is? I've just realised. There's so many people that heard about Infinity War and how shocking the end was, and they had a full year to catch up before we went into Endgame. So you had all these people that never watched these comic book movies before, binge it over the year, and had it as a TV show. Because they had 20 movies they could watch, blah, 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 over the year, catch up, and then they were able to watch the season finale with everybody else. And now that the season finale is finished and we went on to a new season phase, people are wondering why their TV episodes aren't coming out as fast and aren't as connected to each episode like it used to be. So there's disappointment in the fact that Phase 4 was a lot of standalones. And they weren't setting up anything. Whereas, like, every phase was always standalones and didn't set up anything. Like in Winter Soldier, you weren't thinking, can't wait till Thanos appears. You were just thinking, this is a really good movie.
Yeah.
The quality of Phase 4, not really... It's not really up there.
I think, to counter what you're saying to an extent, while I agree with you, it felt clear... Even as you watched them at the time, like the first film was just kind of... The first phase was literally just introducing the main Avengers characters. First Avengers movie brings them together, raises the stakes, teases Thanos. Post that, you can kind of see where they were going. And you always got a film within each phase. Like Iron Man 2 is the one that suffered because Iron Man 2 then had the burden of setting everything up and expanding everything. Civil War with Captain America kind of did that, but it didn't really lose its structure. The film, surprisingly, that actually suffered, I think, was Ultron.
Yes.
Because it kind of tried to set up a lot of stuff and got ahead of itself. Phase 4, I agree with you. It's kind of like they've went back to the phase, and I think Kevin Feige's talked about this. They've went back to the idea of phase 1. It's like, right, we're looking at the legacy of what has happened, introducing new characters and laying the foundations. It's just that it hasn't felt cleared, and then when you know that they're setting up Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, you can see there's kind of two things going on. And now the fact that they have the access to the Fox stuff, so they can say the mutants word. They don't have to say, what does they call them? Meta-humans or enhanced. They don't have to use all that terminology because they got the Fox money now. It's like, right, you're setting up so many things that it just feels really muddled. And that's why, for me, coming back, because we are going to have to wrap up, Guardians 3 is refreshing in that sense that it's really only interested in the Guardians world.
Yeah.
And those characters within it, which is a testament to James Gunn. I think I haven't really touched on it in this pod. We did, I think, on the TV show if it made the cut. The fact that it was great that he got back, he was brought back. You know, he was dropped. He went off and did Suicide Squad over historical tweets and stuff that he had said and done that was, you can get, we'll not get into that right now. But he was dropped from the project, and then there was a lot of that cast members said, well, if he's not back, we're not. Dave Bautista, I know particularly.
Yeah.
Who said, like, well, if he's not back, I'm not back. They brought him back, and he was allowed to conclude that trilogy, and it feels like his films. Mm-hmm. And probably the closest I've seen in 3 films within the MCU to date is, I'll come back to the point I made earlier on, Captain America, where you do things, and you give a character like Cap unflinching sets of morals, and each time test them in different ways. And that's how you make that character interesting. Mm-hmm. And here how you brought me on, or you bring me on board anyway, and make that franchise and that series, those 3 films interesting. Like, as you say, you have Star-Lord at the start. He's the playboy part. He's Captain Kirk. He'll shag anything that goes. And then you evolve that character. Rocket, you know, is just this homicidal fucking raccoon. Mm. You evolve that character.
It's Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, that's it. And it's just what you do with those characters. And I wish we saw more of this in the MCU. I don't know what the Marvels is going to be. I think that's the next one.
Yeah.
I know we're going to have Secret Invasion, TV-wise, Loki and stuff between now and then. I don't know. Yeah, it is what it is. You know, I'm criticising you for going to see films twice. I'll not go see them 2-3 times. I will go see the next Marvel movies. Mm-hmm. Probably because I have to review them.
And then also Disney Plus, The King of Castle Street.
Yeah.
Just to connect the whole universe together.
It's happening. Right. So I think on that note, we've been largely positive about Guardians. You have an invested interest in the series. We've talked on about that. I think, you know, as muddled as I think the first half of the film is, and I think flawed, some characters do get left behind. I think, come back to the point I made, I think Will Poulter isn't given that much to do when you have an actor like that who I just love. Mm-hmm. I'd like to have seen him more, but then you can't get everybody into the screen. And who knows, we might see these characters pop up in future installments. So, look, I think we will wrap things up, Adam. So all that's left for me to do is thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim,
for your time.
No problem.
And we're going to go now and we're going to start writing the first scripts for King of Castle Street.
To be fair, it writes itself.
Yeah.
Although, can we end with the theme tune to King of Castle Street? Ding dong, ding dong. He's the King of Castle Street. He sells meat. The other boys sell lots of things. Here comes the ghost of Jerry Stiller. Hey, get out of my yard, kids. Directed by Justin Theroux.
Coming soon on Disney Plus. You'll laugh, you'll cry.
Hot chocolate.
So just wait with anticipation, kids. King of Castle Street's going to happen. We're going to become millionaires. We're going to totally change.
As long as these people live.
Well, one of them's already dead. So we're okay. We're okay on that front. So anyway, kids, that's enough from me. That's enough from Adam. We're way to write a script for the greatest TV series that will ever be, King of Castle Street. We'll be back with a future pod pretty soon. Our next episode will be the True Lies pod that Joe and I recorded months ago. Literally months ago. I don't think either Arnold or Danny has died since we recorded that. Hopefully not. But that's enough from us. We'll be back soon for another episode. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Adam, any last words?
Oh, chocolate.
Chocolate!